Heyo! Hi everyone! I hope you've been doing well. We're back. Thanks for the bits, Nanashi! Thank you! Thank you! I'm ready to get back to it, because it's been so long. I have no idea what route we're gonna do. We're gonna do what we always... Honestly, we're gonna do what we usually do. Just bullshit the answers and go with whatever route we end up doing. We're going for the beginning because it's been so long. If we end up on the same route that we did... Hi, Demi! Hello! Thank you for the streak! Holy shit, 100? Hell yeah, fucking 100? Let's go? That's some king shit right there. If we end up on Tosuke's route again, we'll probably just have to restart. It's a very bright night. I stopped and looked up at the sky. Red. The full moon floated in the night sky. It was as red as the setting sun. It was a fake full moon. It looks ominous. Although in reality it was probably just an optical phenomenon, it still felt kind of spooky. Maybe I've just watched too many horror movies. I have to go home. Just as I was about to start walking again, I heard strange music on the cool night breeze. Accordion? Somewhat new, somewhat nostalgic. Somewhat bright, somewhat dark. Mysterious music. As if lured by its sound, the shadow of many people were drawn into the large park. Apparently a festival was being held in the park. It wasn't the season for festivals, but it certainly seems like fun. My curious feet wandered and wandered, unconsciously heading for the park. I have to go home soon, or I'll be scolded by my parents. However, the lights of the lanterns and the light music that can be seen just a few steps away cannot help but lift my heart. Surely a little time can't hurt. 10 minutes. No, just 5 minutes, I told myself and started running. This is how we get kidnapped! Wow. The festival that was held in the park was more lively than I expected. Goldfish scooping and target shooting. Grilled corn and ramune. Yakisoba noodles and Frankfurt sausages. Not only the standard menu for the fair, but antique-style furniture and household goods were laid out like an open-air market. And what was more exciting, the customers on the street was a street performer. Combine! This ointment that I have brought to you today was toad oil. When I say toad, it's not the ordinary toad you see here or there. I may have heard of this. I think it's called a toad oil seller. I'm sure I saw it on television just recently. It seemed to me that the sales talk I just heard had been passed down as a street art in the ointment demonstration sales that's been going on since the Edo period. This one looked like a call to a freak show. A sign with a frightening picture was displayed on the front of the hut. These freak shows are actually not big of a deal. The touts make a lot of big claims, but of course there's no such thing as a snake woman. That will obviously be a disappointment. Even so, the normal human reaction would be to want to look at it. Just as I was wondering if I should go in or not, I heard a cheerful voice behind me. Oh my god, it's Bastard Man! Bastard Man! Bastard Magician Man! When I turned around, I saw an exceptionally large cloud. On a simple stage, a man wearing a monocle and a tailcoat, who appeared to be a magician, was smiling.
実は入れたものすべてをこの世から消してしまうという摩訶不思議な箱にございます。
He's a liar and a bastard. It's a teleportation machine to the past. Time traveling box. The mission reverently extended his hand and pointed to a large square black box. It was large enough to accommodate one adult.
象、飛行機、戦車、何でも消してご覧に入れましょう。さあ、どなたか自家用ジェットをお持ちの方はいませんか？今日はインドから象に乗ってやってきたという方は手を挙げて。
Hi, Poochie. The audience laughed out loud. This looks quite interesting. Being carried away by that voice, I tried to get closer to the stage. At that moment, I made eye contact with the magician on the stage. At least that's what I felt. Damn, no, wait a minute. It was not my imagination, but our eyes had definitely met. The magician chuckled and I had a really terrible premonition.
はい、そこの可愛らしいお嬢さん。そう、そこのあなた。はい、舞台に上がって上がって。
Yeah? Girl, don't! Why would you do this? The audience's eyes all fell at me at once. Why? Why me? I had just wandered by and our eyes had met. Notwithstanding that, I never thought I'd be called onto the stage. While I remained puzzled by the unexpected turn of events, the people around me started to push me to the back, from the back, and before I knew it, I was up on the stage.
さあ、箱に入るとあら不思議。私が3秒数える間にきれいさっぱり消えてしまいます。
Hey, have fun with that. It's so embarrassing. Girl, run! I never enjoyed standing out. I felt I would like to disappear even before he could count to 3.
ではお嬢さん、覚悟が決まりましたら、
Well, you're getting your wish, girl.
ここにお入りください。
The audience shouted, "Go for it!" And their expectant and curious gazes were concentrated on the stage. I couldn't run away from it now. I hate that smile. I took a glance at the magician who was happily nudging me, and I had no choice but to go inside the box. There was only one room in the box to sit down while clasping your knees. It probably had a duplicate structure, with the trick section a lot smaller. This would be a nightmare if I was claustrophobic. Soon, a shadow loomed overhead. My field of vision darkened. It's pitch black out. The lid of the box was closed. Perhaps because I was cut off from the outside world, the hustle and bustle of the festival became distant. When this magic was over, I needed to get back home. I wanted to get home quickly and get my school homework done. Eat dinner, text my friends, and then read the book I borrowed from the library. What else was there? That's right. All I had to do after that was sleep. Just sleep deeply and profoundly. So deeply that I wouldn't even sleep. The fuck? That doesn't make any sense. The fuck you mean sleep so deeply that you don't even sleep? Deep. Fuck. Can I skip this? No sound, 'cause copyright. I'm not going through his route. He's mom. It's bastard man. It's rich fuck. Can we skip this? I keep spamming buttons, but nothing's working. I'm pretty sure the red-haired guy's route is the canon route because he was in the anime. Cool. First day of the full month. That was what I asked when I played RE9. Like, how the fuck do I pick up a chainsaw? Huh? It seemed like my body was floating when I opened my eyes. My field of vision was dark, and I heard someone's voice in the distance. My whole body felt awfully tired. It was like the physical sluggishness of that one feels. Hey, thanks for the headphones, Poochie! It was like the physical sluggishness of that one feels, accompanied by the guilty feeling after sleeping about 15 hours on a school holiday. It was a sense of instability, as if I might be dragged into the mud if I stayed still. What kind of light was that? Eventually, in the darkness, a faint light began to glow. It was like looking through frosted glass, and the dim light was similar to that of fireflies. Please do not eat my girl. Gobble me up? In this fluffy dreamscape, a not-so-peaceful conversation could be heard. I wanted to force my body to wake up, but I was too sluggish to move. Was this really a dream? Who were these voices? Even so, my body was extremely tired. Cold fingers gently stroked my cheek. Whoa! Surprised by the cold feeling on my cheek, I sprang up as if I was being played. Who was that just now? I looked around me with dread, but it was pitch black and there was no sign of anyone. However, I definitely felt that somebody had touched me. If it was a dream, it felt too real. The sound of the trees, thickly overgrown, rustling and swaying in the wind. As my eyes became more accustomed to the dark, I could see several faint spots of light. Is this a park? It was in the center of an empty square. It seemed as though I'd been asleep on a bench. There was nobody around. All alone in the quiet park, the place where the festival had been held just a few minutes ago was silent. The melody of the accordion, the laughter of children, the sound of the marbles rattling around in the ramune, the street performer was his magic show. Everything was gone, just like magic. Just like magic. So where am I? Well, you were in a box and now you're not. The magic's real, I guess. Was it a place I did not recognize at all? Because you were in a box and he said he was gonna make you disappear, so you disappeared. Duh! Get your head out of your ass, girl. It had to be a park because there were things like benches and a pavilion, but it was so wide and dark that I couldn't even see the exit. At a loss, I looked up at the sky. A giantly red full moon floated in the night sky. Wow, this is bothering me. Where? There we go. A red moon. I was horrified. I need to get home now. I was flooded with anxiety and apprehension. I had to get home right away. But where was I going back to?
Ah, よかった。こんなところにいた。
It's Bastard Magician Man! I jumped as I was suddenly addressed from behind.
やあやあ、無事だったようだね、お嬢さん。
Bastard Magician Man! Ah! I think you should do that anyway, femboy. The tailcoat and monocle, the thread-like thin eyes. This was the magician in question who had been performing magic on the festival grounds. You were from earlier. The magician smiled and snapped his fingers. Then, to the right of him, a pink scarf appeared. What? That cloth, where did it come from? Come on, girl! He's a magician! He does magic! Come on, keep up! I scrubbed and rubbed my eyes. It seemed as if it had jumped out of his hands. And for some reason, the scarf was then wrapped around my neck.
これは僕のマジックショーに出演してくれたお礼だよ。どう？あったかいだろう？
The magic show. Come to think of it, I wondered what happened to that magic show. I had no recollection of what happened after I got inside the box. Is it possible that the festival just ended while I was in the box? It was possible. I mean, apart from that, I had no way to explain the situation in the quiet park. I'm sorry. It was my fault that the magic show was a flop, isn't it? I'm really very sorry. Seems, well, that I fell asleep in the box. Wasn't sure what I should be apologizing for, but I thought I should apologize anyway. I'm usually a rather good sleeper, but I never expected to fall asleep in an instant like that. The inside of that box must have been extremely comfortable, I suppose.
ああ、違う違う。確かにマジックショーは失敗したけど、君のせいではないんだ。
He said by way of interrupting me. Is that right?
いや、むしろ大成功と言えるかな。そう、少なくとも失敗ではないよ。マジックの趣旨からは外れていないし。
The fuck is he on about? Can he be? Hi, wife. Hey, wall. I didn't really understand, but I was glad that it had been a success. The word "great success" took a bit of the sting out of my heart. So everything must have gone very well while I was sleeping. That must have been the case. By the way, I seem to have lost my way. Where's this place I am right now?
ここ？ここはね、ちょっと待って。
He pulled back his tailcoat and snapped his fingers gracefully. Immediately, something that looked like a book appeared. While I was puzzled, the magician flipped through the book and tilted his head, saying,
日比谷ヶ原ってことはつまり今でいう日比谷公園のあたりかな。
What? Hibiya Park? So was this a map? I had a lot of questions, but I set them aside for a minute. The only Hibiya Park I knew was that huge park located in an office district of Tokyo. I could not think of why I would be in that place now. Even so, was Hibiya Park this dark at night? There was hardly any streetlights, and the darkness was so heavy with so many stars visible. Girls asking the right questions. Like, what the hell is going on? Although we were in the middle of Tokyo, I felt like I had become lost in the middle of nowhere. Well, do you know what direction the nearest train station is? At my question, the magician took his eyes off the map and gave a grandiose shrug.
それは実に難しい質問だね。単純に駅といってもいろいろある。
Oh, it doesn't matter. Even the subway is fine.
残念ながら地下鉄はないんじゃないかな。
Can he be more clear as to make it clear to her that she is not in the present, that is, she's in the past? The remake. There we go. He really was a strange man. Could it be that this person is a foreigner who had just only arrived in Tokyo? No, his Japanese is really good, so I guess he's a returnee who's been away from Tokyo for a long time? Then it made sense that he was staring at a map. Anyway, I have to get out of this park. If this is Hibiya Park, I should be able to find a station if I just go outside, or I could just grab a taxi. Well, I need to be getting home.
帰るってどこに？
え？
どこに帰るつもりでいるのかな、お嬢さん。
Well, I mean, come to think of it, where was I intending to go? The only place I could return to was home. Although I knew that my head was spinning. I tried to think, but I could not remember where my house was. Was I still half asleep? Girl, she cannot remember where she lives. Poor thing. Must be half asleep. That's what it must be. It was so dark and unsettling here that I wanted to get out in the light right away. I don't know, but I need to go home.
帰る場所が
He crossed his arms in admiration. The eye behind the monocle narrowed. Just who was this guy? The guy who transported you into the past!
そうだった。実はね、さっきのマジックショーのことなんだけど、どうやら僕の不手際により君を本当にこの世から消してしまったらしいんだ。
The fuck does that mean? What? The smiling face of the magician shone bewitchingly in the moonlight. My mouth was simply gaping at that outlandish statement.
ごめん、急にこんなこと言ったら驚くよね。でも安心して、僕は決して怪しいものじゃない。君をこの世から消したと言っても、何も僕が君のことを殺しちゃったわけじゃないんだ。
Okay, can you be more specific?
そういう意味で。
Kill? Huh? I heard this very disturbing word, and it made my blood run cold. Then I retreated one step.
いやいや、違うんだ。とにかく僕を信用してほしい。僕は極めて真っ当で善良な人間だってことを分かってほしいんだ。
Uh-huh.
君を騙そうとか。
Uh-huh. Sure. I don't understand. I had to communicate my true feelings. There was nothing more suspicious than somebody who had told you that they were not suspicious.
おや、どうしてこんなに好青年なのに。
It's the other way around, because you are suspicious person to look at. The fuck you mean? I'm being serious. As I thought, this guy is dangerous. Perhaps sensing my blatant caution, he cleared his throat and straightened his back.
まあまあ、とりあえず
What do you mean again?
怖がらせてしまったお詫びにいいものを見せてあげようじゃないか。
I was frightened. He snapped the fingers of his left hand. I was wide-eyed. In an instant, 3 pigeons flew from his hand. What was that? Sorcery?
魔法じゃないよ。マジックさ。
What's the difference? The magician proudly puffed out his chest. That was amazing. It was great.
そう、よかった。やっと信用してもらえたみたいで嬉しい。
No, I don't trust you. I immediately shook my head. The skill of the magician and the credibility of his character were two separate issues.
手強いな。どうしたら信用してもらえるんだろう。
Well, can I just go home now?
いやいや、ちょっと待ってよ。 後でも信用してもらえないなら他の動物を出そう。そうだ、ライオンはどうかな。ライオンを出したらさすがに信用してくれるよね。
I don't know about that, man. No thanks.
じゃあワニがいい？いや、
None of us are gonna make me trust you, my guy. Enough already. I shouted with all my might and started walking rapidly. I didn't know where the park exit was, but I decided to run away anyway. I had to get away immediately from this ultra-suspicious magician.
おーい、お嬢さん。
Like, at least she's got a little bit of sense to realize how suspicious this fucker is. Please don't follow me.
待ってよ。女の子の夜道の一人歩きは危ないよ。
I think I'm in most in danger from you. I started to run in a panic. How long did I keep running after that? Before I realized it, I'd left the park and was on the main street. The strange magician was nowhere to be seen. Somehow I had managed to escape. Then I suddenly stopped. Hang on. Was I sure that Hibiya was supposed to look like an office district? What was reflected in my eyes was unpaved roads and brick buildings. It was bleak downtown scene. The somewhat exotic atmosphere may be due to many Western-style buildings. Where is this, really? If this was near Hibiya Park, I thought I was probably around Yurakucho and Kasumigaseki. But there was not a single skyscraper to be seen. I looked up as I thought I heard an animal cry. It was somehow similar to the sound of a neighing horse. Even further away, I could hear the sounds of hooves running on the ground. You're just imagining things. I shook my head, unable to make the connection between the words Hibiya and horse. What's this feeling? What was the source of this discomfort in my throat? I couldn't express it well in words. I somehow managed to suppress my hazy feelings and walked along the dark night street for a while when the smell of baking fish wafted in from somewhere. Such a good smell. Maybe there is a set meal restaurant nearby, or an izakaya type of bar. When I thought of Yurakucho and Ginza at night, I had an image of fathers on their way home from work during drinking together. A chain izakaya with shiny neon lights, a large karaoke box building, and a long line of cabs. But there was nothing so common in this neighborhood. Just lines and lines of retro buildings that were somehow nostalgic. For now, let me ask someone directions to the station. Excuse me. I called out to a man in round glasses, wearing a haori hakama. It was a kind of attire that seemed to come out of an old black and white photo. Is there a station near here? He held up the lantern as he lowered and looked at me slowly from head to toe with curious eyes. What's up? What's with that? People staring at people in that way. Eventually, he pointed to a moat with a bridge over it. By walking over that moat. Shimbashi Station. I hope he means Shimbashi Station. There seemed to be a large station there, so I felt a sense of relief. Yes?
随分とハレンチな様相だね。やれやれ。これだから最近の若いもんは。
The outfit feels weird. Nope, you just get used to it. Indecent? I looked at my outfit in panic. It was the school's designated uniform with a standard black tights. I thought it was a fairly normal outfit. This guy, however, took one look at me with a frown and then quickly left the place. Indecent. I kept walking down the main street along the moat, still shocked by his reaction. The streets at night remained dark. It was so sparsely populated that it was hard to believe that there was a station ahead. Anyway, why is everyone wearing kimonos? There were some men wearing suits, but absolutely all the women were wearing kimonos. As a result, I really stood out everywhere. It was somehow odd. It was that feeling of being in a kind of special place, as if I'd wandered into a theme park. It was as if only half my body had entered an unreal world. And then, from afar, with the earth shaking, I heard the sound of someone running. What was it? Tinkling like the sound of an impatient bell, large black objects came barreling down the middle of the boulevard at breakneck speed. The moment I realized it was two horses, I felt unable to move, as if my body had frozen. Horses? Why were there horses here? We were in the middle of Tokyo, and yet the two horses beat the ground with their hooves, their manes fluttering in the wind, and headed straight towards me. Everything happened so suddenly, and I felt the soles of my shoes were stuck to the ground, so I felt unable to move. I needed to run. If I didn't run, I was sure to get run over. Quickly. Just as I was preparing to die, someone grabbed me roughly from behind. My body floated softly, and the two horses passed right by me like a gale almost simultaneously. Suspicious magician to the rescue! We didn't die! Hooray! I gasped at the voice whispering wickedly into my ear. The one who was holding me from behind was the weird magician from earlier. Why are you? I asked him in a trembling voice as I quickly backed away from him. No, it's just...
僕がいなかったら君はもう少しで馬車鉄道に引かれてしまうところだったんだけどな。
I mean, he's not wrong. We would have died if it weren't for him.
つまり僕は君にとって命の恩人ってこと。
My savior? Well, I suppose that's right. It was true that he was the person who helped me when I was almost run over by a horse. However, the dangerous this person was, the fact remained that he helped me. Thank you for your help. At any rate, I needed to thank him while blatantly bracing myself to escape immediately. I had a drink because I felt... Dude, I swear to God, I felt something run down my throat. Fuck. What was that horse doing just now? Surely you didn't produce that with your magic. I mean, you produced a pigeon just now.
だから馬車鉄道だよ。この時代の路面鉄道は馬が動力なんだ。日本では電車が実用化されていないからね。どう説明したらいいんだろう。つまり今の君は電車の通っていない時代に存在しているってことになるんだけど。
The fuck?
まあ早い話、ここは明治時代の東京なんだ。
It's always the Meiji period. Damn it.
君は僕のマジックによって平成から明治へタイムスリップしてしまったというわけさ。
Meiji? I tried to think about it with my fuzzy head. When I heard the name Meiji, my first thought was that this was a theme park that had recreated the Meiji period. If this entire cityscape was part of a theme park, it certainly made a lot of sense. But when it had something like that built in been built in Shimbashi? I was surprised to learn that such a large facility had been built in a place I was unfamiliar with. I nodded gently, having understood the situation at first glance. I see. I understand now. So, I'm going home. Please let me go. Large hand grabbed my arm tightly. Even if I moved my arms and legs in a flailing motion, he kept me tightly bound and did not release me at all. No, she does not. I get it. So, home. Obviously, if you want to go home, you're going to your home. The place where your mother and father and mother are waiting for you. I pressed my temples and slumped down. Even though I had to go home, I could not remember at all where my home was. What shall I do? You're gonna have to be more specific of what feels weird on you. Where on earth was I supposed to go back to? How had I wandered into such a place? I felt dizzy and disorientated. I found that my body was trembling slightly with fear. Okay, but what about the top part feels uncomfortable? If it's a dress, there's not really much you can do, unless you want to make alterations. Either that, if it's the fabric, you could probably wear something underneath it. But honestly, besides that, there's not really much you can do. No, I don't think I can rest easy. Other people must have seen me like a newborn deer trembling with fear. Possibly trying to encourage me, the weird magicians kept saying no problem and don't worry. As I said, I couldn't relax. But when interacting with this friendly attitude, I let my guard down just a little bit. Partly because he had saved my life. So basically, we're taken to the past and we're romancing some people, while also finding our time until we can go back to the future where we're from. But in the previous route, we chose to stay anyway with the person we romanced. So there's a possibility we just stay anyway. But there might be a route where we go back to the future with the person we romance. Who knows? We'll find out. Of course, I had not been able to fully trust him fully. There was no point in rushing around, was there? For a start, I needed to calm down. I needed to work through my situation one piece at a time. The One Piece is real! When I asked, this is Shimbashi, right? The magician did what he always did. He pulled out a map out of nowhere. Well, strictly speaking, it was Owaricho in Ginza. Ginza?
現代だと尾張町っていう住所は残ってないんだけどね。多分銀座4丁目の交差点あたり。日本で一番地価の高いところだ。
It was too far removed from my idea of the glamorous Ginza. When they had performed a renovation to change the street, streets into Meiji style. Several rickshaws and lanterns passed us by. The streets lined with brick buildings were beautiful. It's amazing, just like the real thing.
本物だよ。
Dude, it's not clicking through her head. You're gonna have to be clear. Just like that, actually. Now that I think about it. You can't be clearer than that. The magician and I stared at each other for about 3 seconds.
ここはちょうど銀座レンガ街と呼ばれていた大通りさ。いやー、ハイカラな街並みだね。
Huh.
日本人が見よう見まねで西洋の建築を真似たものだから、どこか和風な趣もある。それもまた風情があっていいじゃないか。
The magician gestured and talked to me like a tourist guide. By the way, what is your name? I casually asked. As he saved my life, I should at least know his name.
Eh?
I was asking your name.
ああ、名前ね。名前。
And then there was a pause.
僕の名前はチャーリーだ。
He's lying! I swear he's lying! I have no proof, nor do I know his actual name, but I swear he's lying. Charlie? What's that fancy name? It was almost certainly a pseudonym, and nothing more than a fake name. Increasingly suspicious. So suspicious.
君のその猜疑心に満ちた鋭い眼差し。たまらないな。
Ew. Yes?
いや、なんでもない。
He quickly straightened his posture.
ところでお嬢さん、君の名前も聞かせてくれないかな？
My name? My name is Mary Ayazuki. I was relieved that my name popped into my head without having to think about it. If you not only forget where you live, but also your name, then that's full-blown amnesia.
いい名前だ。
Well, thank you. It was not the time to be casually introducing yourself. You started it! And honestly, I was not sure what to do in that situation. I was not sure, but at least for now, I was glad that I was not alone. If I were alone in this unintelligible situation, I think I would have been even more distraught. At that time, my stomach started to rumble with a roar. Maybe it was because my tension had been released, but my body started to complain of hunger.
あれ？もしかしてお腹が空いてるのかな？
Yeah, just a little bit. Wow, how embarrassing. It was so loud that there was no way to fake it. I got all red in the face.
そうだよね。僕もできればこう小腹なんかを満たしたいところだけど。
Damn. He broke. Don't have any money? Even though you're a grown man? Hey, some grown men are broke. Like me. Perhaps the occupation of a magician is not such a lucrative one. I thought worrying about things that did not concern me. Well then, just in a way you produced a pigeon with magic just now. Couldn't you make a hamburger or sandwich or something?
鳩もライオンもワニも出せるけど、ハンバーガーやサンドイッチは出せないんだよね。残念ながら。
Useless. Come on, bro. What's the point of being able to produce stuff if you can't produce things to make your life easier? You can't produce them? Your magic is so inconvenient. Producing food would certainly help family finances and be more convenient than producing animals like pigeons and crocodiles.
いいことを考えた。
He suddenly let out a loud voice and clapped his hands together.
うまくいけば僕たちは豪勢な夕食をただ食いじゃなくてご馳走してもらえるかもしれない。
Really? Charlie's face lit up. Does one of his friends live near here? I wondered if he intended to barge into their home and get them to fix dinner for us.
問題はうまく潜り込めるかだけど。
I'm sorry?
いや、こっちの話。じゃあ早速行ってみようか。はい、到着。
This was after walking several dozen minutes or so. When I saw the building to which I was led, my legs almost buckled from beneath me. It was a large two-story chalk pavilion that glowed dimly in the dark night. It was a magnificent Western-style building that I would normally call a palace. The light spilling from the semicircular arched windows made it sparkle like a dream. A large garden light was placed in a path leading to the main entrance, and horse-drawn carriages and rickshaws carrying well-dressed people passed through the main gate, one after another. So beautiful. I was often at a loss for words to describe the fantastic appearance of this place, which looked like it came straight out of a picture book. I want fun facts! Give me that fun facts!
どうしたの？鳩がマシンガン食らったような顔してるけど。
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that metaphor? Did you know that Doki Doki Panic is a reskin of Super Mario Bros. 2? I did not know that. I've never heard of it. Charlie called out to me as I stared at the building. Yes, well... Were Charlie's friends oil tycoons or something like that? Well, if his friends were oil tycoons, he probably wouldn't be broke. They would have to be at least that level of richness to be able to possess such a pavilion. I was just thinking, what a wonderful residence this was. Who lives here?
誰も住んじゃいないよ。ここは明治政府が威信をかけて建てたいわゆるパーティー会場だ。
Damn. Do you know that Pokemon Gold is that they had to... I did not know that either. Interesting. Party hall.
そう、君も知ってるはずだよ。教科書にも載ってるぐらい有名だからね。
Laughing at this, he bowed to me with a reverent motion.
6名館へようこそ、お嬢さん。
The Rokumeikan. The Rokumeikan, as he had said, was shown in textbooks. It was a historical building from the Meiji period. It was a place where government bigwigs gathered at night and hosted foreign dignitaries. I was pretty sure that was the case. Is this the real Rokumeikan?
もちろん本物だよ。というわけで、早速侵入してみようか。
I did know that actually. No way! John Cena's not playable in Super Mario Bros? That's crazy. Yeah. I looked up at Charlie's face in surprise. There was an evil smile on his face. Did you just say break in?
ああ、言い方が悪かったね。こっそり潜り込んでみようって言いたかった。
They sound like the same thing to me.
ほら、耳を澄ませてごらん。あのにぎわいっぷりを。きっと中では盛大なパーティーが行われているに違いないさ。
He said, completely ignoring my accusation. Charlie seemed to only I can't read. Completely ignoring my accusation, Charlie seemed to see only the glamorous lights of the Rokumeikan.
僕の推理ではね、すんごいごちそうが用意されていると見ているんだ。ステーキとか、ローストビーフとか、寿司とか、北京ダックとか。
That actually sounds really good. No way! That's crazy! Steak, roast beef, row! My girl's fucking meat addiction's coming out. So the sumptuous meal crossed my mind, and as my hunger from earlier raised its head. Of course, I wanted to eat it if I could, but it's impossible. We can't just sneak in.
僕を誰だと思ってる?
A fraud, a suspicious man. Charlie smiled fearlessly.
世紀の大奇術師、チャーリー様に不可能なことなどほとんどないのだよ。
almost nothing? There was a subtlety in the fact that he could not clearly assert nothing. So it came to the entrance of the Rokumeikan, being forcefully pulled by Charlie. Charlie, there seems to be some security guards here. On both sides of the front door were two men dressed in military uniforms from that period. They were somewhat scary to look at, and had an intense aura about them. I had no idea what kind of party it was, but haven't... Thank you for the head patch, Fuji! And yes, I did know that Claire Redfield is not playable in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I had no idea what kind of party it was, but having neither money nor an invitation, I was sure we would get turned away at the door.
なーに、心配することはないよ。正面玄関さえ突破してしまえばこっちのものだからね。
But how?
こうするのさ。ちょっと失礼。
Charlie snapped his fingers, and in his customary way, and produced a large cloak. I thought he would just lightly slip on the cloak, but he pulled me into a hug. What?
これは世にも不思議な魔法のマントでね。ひとたびまとえば存在が消え、背景と同化してしまうという便利アイテムなんだ。
Really?
今、僕らの姿は誰も目視できない。つまり透明人間になったも同然なんだよ。便利だろう？
I do not believe you. Once again, he seemed to be talking complete gibberish. But I could not escape from the cloak that enveloped me in its embrace. You know, I think I would really like to go home now.
いやー、楽しみだな。豪華な料理。やっぱりごちそうといえばステーキだよね。
There's gotta be blood in Goro Majima. Maybe not. Actually, maybe not. Well, there's red blood cells, which is blood. So there's not zero. Please let me go home. I flailed around in the cloak. I had no idea where I was going to, but I wanted to get away from here as quickly as possible. Yeah! There's blood! There's blood in Goro Majima, therefore there's blood in Goro Majima and water. Wait. Suddenly, elegant music streamed into my ears. It was a famous classical song that was not familiar to me enough, even though I did not know its name. The bouncy laughter of women rode that melody, and it was like the chatter of chirping birds. The sound of plates being carried with a clink-clink, someone coughing, a joyous toast. Even from within the cloak, I could feel the heat surrounding the area. It seemed to be transmitted to me.
はい、お疲れ様。もうで。
With a flick, the cloak's tethers were loosened, and the view suddenly opened up in front of me. A dazzling light hit my eyes, and I involuntarily held up my hand. So dazzling. That's crazy, I could not tell. Hanging from a high ceiling was a large chandelier. Underneath the light reflecting off the cut glass was a gorgeous dance hall. There, women in dresses designed to bulge around the hips stepped gracefully. The women were escorted by men in military uniforms, with many medals on their chests. Mixed among them were foreigners in tails, and the entire floor was created in an exotic atmosphere that was indescribable. Before I knew it, I had slipped past the guards and entered the Rokumeikan. We're in Money Town, baby! We got rich people everywhere. Stunned, I looked at the magician next to me, who was smiling slightly. Does that cape really make you invisible? Damn. broke the broke the illusion. He stated simply, shrugging his shoulders. What? But just now you said it was a magic cape.
僕は魔法使いじゃなくてただの奇術師だ。この程度のマジック、奇術師レベル3ぐらいで習得する簡単スキルだよ。
Is that right?
ちなみに僕は奇術師レベル75だけどね。
Okay, dude. Show off. I really had no idea how much he was joking and to what extent he was serious about. Then someone bumped into my shoulder with a thump. Strong arms caught me as I stumbled from the impact of collision. It's him! It's the weirdo who's obsessed with us, in a sense. And also the main love interest in the anime.
あ、すまなかった。大丈夫かい?
Yes. The hand that reached out to me belonged to a man in a white military uniform. The military uniform was finely embroidered with gold thread, and a gold shoulder patch swung over his shoulder. It was a costume worn by a person who was clearly of a higher rank. When dressing up, he really put a lot of effort into the costume. She still doesn't believe she's in the past. But it suited him perfectly well. That well-rounded, beautiful face, the eyes caught in the champagne gold light, confident and radiant.
本当に大丈夫かい? 怪我は?
Yeah, really, I'm fine.
そうかい?
He crossed his arms and gazed over my whole body with some interest. I quickly became uncomfortable with his less than reserved stare. Whore! He's a whore! Come to think of it, I remembered the man I had asked directions earlier had observed me in the same way. High school uniforms were not so unusual, were they? Is there something I can...
大貝さん、何してるんですか?
At that moment, I heard someone's voice behind me. It's
いなく
him!
ならないでください。こんなところで放置されても困ります。
ああ、すまない、俊宗。
Shunso! Shunso, as the man in the school uniform was called, walked up to the man in the military uniform with the cold eyes. Is this also cosplay? He was wearing a type of student's hat you don't see much today, and a stuffed collar with a retro silhouette. With his long hair bundled loosely into one bun. What bun? His thin lips were drawn back in a somewhat sullen manner.
そう険しい。
ここは空気が悪すぎます。目が痛くて絵の題材を探すどころではありません。
おや、そいつは残念だ。たまには俗物に触れてみるのもいいと思ったのだけどね。醜悪な要素も芸術には必要だろう。
またあなたは講習の場でそんな問題発言を。
This is calling everyone ugly? Damn, okay, dude. He blurted out and turned, and the youth with the stuffed collar turned his gaze on me.
このご婦人は?
うん、今知り合ったばかりなのだよ。ちょうどお茶にでも誘おうと思ったところで、お前という邪魔が入ったというわけだ。
What? Really? While the man in the military uniform was grinning, the gaze of the man in the school uniform became even more chilling.
大貝さん、あなたは相変わらず前衛的なものをお好みのようですね。
He blurted out with his gaze and directed straight at me.
もう今夜は十分油を売りましたよね。長いは無用です。さっさと帰りましょう。
こら、待たないか俊宗。まったく。
Teenagers, am I right? The man in the military uniform followed the young man who called Shunso and disappeared into the crowd.
いやー、いきなり有名人とご対面だね。
said Charlie, who was already holding a plate of steak in his hand. Celebrity?
そう、今のは森林太郎というより森鴎外と言った方がわかりやすいかな。そして彼と一緒にいたのは日本画家の菱田俊宗だよ。名前は聞いたことあるだろう？
I must have had a rather stupid look on my face at that time. Ogai Mori, Shunso Hishida. I heard these names before. I heard the name before, but just like the Rokumeikan, they were names that I knew from being listed in textbooks.
今夜のパーティーはすごい顔ぶれを揃えているようだね。あそこにいる学生服の彼は幻想作家の泉鏡花だ。
Damn. Oh, it's him! My eyes widened as I looked in the direction in which Charlie pointed. Among the well-dressed men was a slender man in a school uniform. And for some reason, he had a large white rabbit on his shoulder. What's that? A stuffed animal? Or is it real? I wonder if the white rabbit hanging on his shoulder with like a pattern inside of his with pattern ears and is real or fake. I wonder. If you look closely, you should see its ears moving. Apparently it was a real rabbit. What an innovative person he was, bringing a pet to a party.
不衛生だな。こんなところでよく食事ができるよね、ドイツ。
The words came out of his mouth in a wild manner, unbecoming of his beautiful face.
パーティーなんて雑菌の温床でしかないよ。だから来たくなかったんだ。
おや、京香ちゃんじゃねえか。
It's Mom! A man wearing a pinstripe suit approached the man with the rabbit as he stood there grumbling to himself. Wow, what a beauty. The rabbit guy was also quite good looking, but the guy who just showed up had the kind of eye-catching appearance that seemed to make the place more glamorous. With his slender body and somewhat sexy gaze, he stood out enough to make passerbys look twice.
なんだ、川上か。
なんだ冷てえじゃねえか。お前の唯一の友人とこうして相まみえたっていうのによ。
はあ、僕をちゃん付けで呼ぶようなやつ、友人にした覚えはないよ。
Hold on. I don't want to speak all the time. Oh, Claire the rabbit guy. However, no man in the suit did not mean to seem to mind that was strange to Wester with the worst amusement. Oh well.
あら、笑った顔も素敵だわってところかな。
Hey! There was suddenly a whisper in my ear, and I jumped up in surprise.
見とれるのも無理はないよ。彼は川上音次郎といってね、新進気鋭の若手役者なのさ。
It wasn't exactly talking, oh well. It was not exactly accurate, to be honest. I did not know, and I don't think that's true. And it made sense when Charlie told me that he was an actor. It was no wonder that his aura was so spectacular. And Charlie would not have a flat butt. Oh well. Come to think of it, Charlie, why are you so knowledgeable? He did not seem to know any of them, but he was able to reel off the names one after the other. Then, Charlie, while gulping down mouthfuls of steak, said,
それはね、この時代に来たのはこれが初めてじゃないからだよ。
Yes? My thoughts became transfixed by the enigmatic response. When you say this era, you mean this era, right?
そう、この時代、つまり明治時代だね。
No, it's the Heisei period now.
つい数時間前まではね、 でも僕らは今明治時代にタイムスリップしてしまったわけだからさ。
Time travel? Woo! The strange man casually voiced it in such unrealistic words. Oh well.
で、さっき説明しなかったっけ？
You did, but the girls do not believe you because who the fuck will believe that you've been time traveled back several decades. Oh well. I think you did, but even so, it was completely unbelievable. Such a story. Oh well. It was certainly true, though, that I couldn't explain this whole situation as some kind of theme park. Oh well. Everything was too unnatural. From the fact that there was not a single building in Marunochi's prime location to the fact that everyone on the street was dressed in the retro fire. Oh well. You did mention that yesterday. Oh well. Was I dreaming? But for a dream, everything seemed far too real. So what if this world was not a dream? Oh well. If this was the afterlife or something. Oh well. It seemed like an outlandish idea on my part, but it actually made a lot of sense. Oh well. It was possible that I had died in an accident. In other words, that this world was hell and everyone on the dance floor was a dead person like me. No wonder then that there were many people who lived in the Edo and Heian periods, not to mention the Meiji period. No. My thoughts were drifting out into an occult direction, but I shook my head in a panic. Wow, that's crazy. People die when they are killed? Oh well.
どうしたの？お化けでも見たような顔しちゃって。
Stop talking such nonsense, oh well. I said, making my case forcefully. It would be a problem if ghosts appeared or I were to become one.
え？本当にお化けがいたのかい？どこ？
There are no ghosts. As I raised my voice, a large figure suddenly stood in front of me. Oh god, it's this guy. The speckled foreigner who had barged into seemingly from nowhere looked down at me with a serious look on his face.
あなたは今、お化けなどいないとおっしゃいましたね。
What? Hello?
失礼。私はこういうものです。
I was taken aback as he offered me a business card. Okay, no more woo voice. On it was written, lecturer in English literature at Tokyo Imperial University, College of Letters and Literature. Lafcadio Hearn. Lafcadio Hearn? I'd heard that name before. I'm sure that it was the real name of Koizumi Yakumo.
お化けはいない。そう断言するのは実にたやすいことです。
Uh-huh. He lightly lifted the frames of his glasses and coughed.
しかし、私がかつて出雲にいた頃、いえ、その前に、カカの駆け戸に出向いた時の話をしましょう。そこには、地蔵の泉と呼ばれる死んだ子供の亡霊が飲むお乳の泉があり、
The ghost of dead. Oh, okay. I read that wrong. I'm not gonna explain what I read, but I read that wrong. Modern fucking Meiji period ghost hunters be like, what?
その岩屋の奥には青白い石地蔵が微笑んでいます。さらによく見ると長さ10センチほどの小さな足跡があるではありませんか。これは夜の間に子供の亡霊たちがつけた足跡であり。
Why? Why does he suddenly start with a ghost story? In contrast to my bewildered reaction, he never lost his poise as he spoke. This is no good. I tried to seek help from Charlie. I thought he would be next to me chewing steak. But this was even worse. Charlie was nowhere to be seen. Just 2 seconds ago, he had been right next to me. Probably just gone get a refill of food. How sneaky. Come to think of it, I was yet to put a piece of beef into my mouth.
なぜ夜の間かと言いますと、これは死者がとりわけお日様を恐れるからです。したが
And it's still going on.
おや
The ghost story that looked like it could go on forever came to an abrupt end.
小泉、なんだその女は。
This was because another man appeared to interrupt the words of the bespectacled man. When speaking of the first impressions of the man, the word scary came to mind. He had a tall physique that made one look up at him, and his eyes were bright. He was dressed in a tight, dark green police-like uniform and carried a saber at his waist. Also, the pattern is ugly as fuck. I'm sorry. His dangerous guy aura was in full swing, so much so that a chill ran down my spine when our eyes met for a moment.
これは警視庁洋中の藤田五郎警部補ではありませんか。今夜も見回りご苦労様です。
余計な挨拶はいい。その女は誰だ。答えろ。
誰って。
He lifted the frames of his glasses again and looked at me seriously.
どちら様でしたでしょうか、娘さん。
Me? Well, how should I answer? I was afraid of the penetrating gaze of this guy, Fujita, so I couldn't speak properly.
No.
Child, give me your name, what faction? He took one step closer to me. I was really in a pinch. I didn't know what would happen to me if they found that I had sneaked in. Surely not with that saber. Click. He grabbed the handle of his saber, as if to meet my expectations.
藤田さん、こんなにか弱い娘さんに何を。
なぜ答えない娘。
Cause you're freaking her
場合によ
out!
っては管理公許の罪に問うぞ。
You're freaking her out, dude! What is how the fuck is she supposed to react when you're threatening her? Even so, if this continues, I could be arrested. Soon, the well-dressed ladies and gentlemen began to watch us from a distance. What should I do? Oh god, is this where we're like... Fuck it. I want to go for Kyoka, cause fuck it, you know? I'm not going for... Come on. Who is... Okay. Fuck it. We're going the age-appropriate route. Someone help me. I looked around, hoping for the best. But of course, no one wanted to get involved with a shady-looking little girl like me. When I asked for help with my eyes, people instantly looked away.
Oi.
I'm looking for the person I came in for, but apparently I came in with, but apparently he's not here. Somebody grabbed my wrist, and I let out a small scream.
さてはこの中にお前の同志が潜伏しているのか。
Uh-oh. Yeah, you should be turning those into the police if you get mailed that. But the backs of my eyelids burned with fear and anxiety. I felt my field of vision slowly blurring, as well as a piercing gaze directed towards me. Eyes that seemed to see right through me. Those people. These guys. A man wearing a pinstripe suit stomped on the ground, shouting loudly, "It's Mom!" Alright, have a nice night, Poochie. After scratching his head, he approached me as if he would reach some decision.
Kawakami!
おいおい藤田さんよ、あんた結構な身分じゃねえか。そんな小む
Okay, go off, Mom. Go off. Said Kawakami provocatively, not heeding the restraint of Fujita, who was carrying the rabbit. I tried to stifle a gasp in horror at the way he addressed the policeman in such unflinching terms.
悪いか。公衆の面前で単価を切るのが俺の仕事だ。
Damn, okay. With that said, Fujita slowly pulled his saber from its sheath.
そして。
Oop. When Fujita pointed the tip of his saber towards Kawakami, a shiver ran across the glittering floor.
はあ、なんだなんだ、この国の女将は無抵抗かつ善良な市民に刃を向けんのか。
善良な市民。ふん。笑わせるな。
Shut the fuck up, Fujita. Shut the fuck up.
自由同時だかなんだか知らんが、集会条例違反、出版条例違反、管理侮辱。一体何度投獄されれば気が済む。
Well...
我々警察も暇ではないのでな。貴様の愚行には付き合いきれん。
It does not surprise me he's been arrested before.
着るしか能のねえやつに凄まれたぐらいでな。大の男がそう簡単に引けるかよ。
黙れ、どんちょう役者風情が。叩き
Okay, fight, 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 fight.
おお、きれきれ。天下の警部補様が6名間で大立ち回りを演じるなんざ最高の呼び物じゃねえか。
Okay,
お
go
題は
off,
見
go
ての
off,
お帰りでってな。
go off, King. Go off, Mom. Go off.
貴様。
Fujita clicked his tongue and repositioned his saber. What I saw was not anger. Hi, Tailgater. I'm doing good. What I saw was not anger or murderous intent. It would best be described as raising an eyebrow in annoyance at a winged instinct. Bitch. However, that is what was terrifying about it. He looked ready to slay a man without compunction just because of his irritation.
たくしょうがないな。
I heard someone sigh, and that's when it happened. My field of vision suddenly went pitch black.
なんだ。
He suddenly enveloped the sun enveloping darkness had caused a commotion across the floor. There were sounds of screaming women, glasses being smashed, and someone scampering around. Although moonlight was forcing its way through the window, it was not sufficiently bright to discern faces. What had happened? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope it feels better. As I suddenly stood there helpless, unsure what to do, I suddenly heard a voice in my ear.
逃げるなら今のうちだけど。
What?
だからさっさと逃げろって言ってんの。
Someone pushed me in the back so that I almost fell forward. What are you doing?
早く逃げないと。
You fidgeted a rabbit, you low life. Damn, okay, dude. Although shocked at how he was addressing me, I realized that it was my only chance to get away. It was not a time to have my head in the stars. That's right, I have to get out of here. In the dark and without knowing why, I started running for the exit. Okay, King. Fortunately, due to the uproar over the power cut, none of the security forces paid me any heed. I'm sure even Fujita wouldn't think it was worth his while to chase me. Wonder whether Charlie's okay. I was concerned for the magician. Reluctantly, I decided to temporarily get away from the Nokumenkan. The town of Ginza rose before me again. My eyes had grown strangely accustomed to the sight of horse-drawn carriages coming and going. I'm really thirsty. But unfortunately, there would be no vending machines anywhere. I didn't even have a wallet to start with. Usually in such a situation, I would go to the police station, but the possibility that someone like Fujita will appear made me think twice. Anyway, let me walk. As I walk, I might find a place I know. Not a place where horse-drawn carriages and rickshaws pass through, but a normal town with vending machines and convenience stores. If I could get there, I might find a way to get back to my house. Believing this, I moved forward 1 foot at a time. Where am I? How much time had passed since I started walking? The view of the city remained unchanged no matter how far I walked. There were no cars passing in the dark streets, and no artificial neon lights illuminating the darkness. The fact that there were few pedestrians was even more disheartening. I knew I should have waited for Charlie. He was the only person that the present me could call an acquaintance. But now, I am not even sure how I could get back to the Rokumenkan. I'm so hungry. After walking for too long, my legs felt like rods. Still, I must walk. Walking is about the only thing I could do at the moment. It must have been 2 or 3 hours. After walking for so long that I no longer had any sense of time, I ended up in an unknown town. Compared to Ginza, which was more a western-looking district, this area had a purely Japanese feel. It had an atmosphere of movie sets seen in period dramas. The red lanterns swayed at even intervals on the dimly lit hill, which had an almost fantastical feel to it. Very excited for you. So tired. My fatigue had reached its limit on the way up the hill, and finally bereft of strength, I slumped on the curb. I couldn't take another step. Although I was right in the middle of the city, I felt as if I was completely lost in the snowy mountains. What was worse is that I was being attacked by a wave of sleepiness. If I fall asleep here now, will I die? Hunger was also helping to drain my consciousness. Before I die, I wish I'd eaten. I remember the roast beef and plenty of gravy I saw at the Nokumenkan. As I dozed off, someone was standing above me, shouting surprised. When I raised my head to see what was happening, a woman wearing a red long-sleeved kimono was standing there. Oh my god, it's Mom! She was dazzling beauty of the night that was kind of blew my sleep away. Yeah, you are? She spoke with a familiar manner, but I didn't recognize her at all. Then she raised an eyebrow and clapped her hands as if she realized something. Okay, King. Okay, Mom. Then, with a bewitching smile on her face, she crouched down, looking me in the eye. Where am I exactly? When I shot back a question of my own, she had a puzzled look on her face. Kagurazaka? My understanding was that Kagurazaka was in the Shinjuku ward. I had really walked here all the way from Ginza. Of course, just knowing the name of the place didn't change the situation at all. Oh, I've yet to look at them yet, but I'm very excited to look at them. My memory remained hazy, and the fact was that I was still penniless. Though I thought I would actually be okay if I could just walk, but it didn't actually do me any good at all.
ちょっとあんた、シャンとしなよ。こんなところでぼんやりしてたら悪い輩に売り飛ばされちまうじゃないか。
But
家はどこだい？しょうがない。送って行ってやるよ。お人よしな。
Aw, Mom! A good person. Not only is she beautiful, but she is also a good teacher. But I had no words to reply to her question. I don't know where I live.
は？
I don't even know what I'm doing here.
はあ？あんた、何言ってんのさ。
I suppose this reaction was not surprising. The only thing I could remember was my own name. I couldn't remember anything about my house or family. That was not the only problem. This was not the Shinjuku ward that I was familiar with. Having walked all around Tokyo and not seeing a single convenience store, I felt unable to say for sure that this was modern-age Tokyo. Tears rolled down my cheeks. I left my emotions behind, and only tears spilled out automatically yet sluggishly.
ちょっとあんた、何泣いてるんだよ。私が泣かしてるみたいで外文が悪いじゃないか。
Sorry.
ああ、もう鼻まで垂らすんじゃないよ。
She then took out what looked like a thin strip of Japanese paper from her sleeve and wiped my messy face. Although her hands were a little rough, I felt the warmth of her fingertips throughout my whole body. She also smelled really good, and I felt that this was having a calming effect on me.
ほら、泣いてたって始まらないからさ。とりあえず立ちなよ。
Yes, Mom. I stood as she commanded.
Ik.
Eh? Her unexpected suggestion somehow brought tremendous relief to my heart. Are you sure it's okay?
いいも悪いもしょうがないだろう。一度声かけちまった以上、ほっぽり出しておくわけにもいかないからね。
Aww, Mom!
ただし。
She stopped talking and pressed her index finger to my forehead.
あんたも私についてくるからには、それなりの覚悟をしてもらうよ。
Eh?
いいね。後からギャーギャー文句を言うんじゃないよ。
What do you mean? She took my silence as a seal of approval and picked up the hem of her kimono and began to walk quickly. After walking a hill with red lanterns swaying, we turned a corner and entered an alley. The sound of shamisen seemed to appear from nowhere. Stores that looked like traditional yote lined the streets. Walking along the cobblestones, a building suddenly appeared in front of me.
着いたよ。ここが私の家。
This...
そう、豪邸だろ。
I nodded my head. The three-story building, with its gnarled clock tower, was truly magnificent. It had a tiled roof and a Western-style structure, fitting the mood of the Japanese-style town well. The balcony was faintly lit by a lamp, and there was a truly magical atmosphere. Must be incredibly rich. She seemed surprised and laughed at my rather direct statement. Girl does not know what's going on. Huh? What the?
たく、真に受けるんじゃないよ。こんなうさんくさい建物が普通の家なわけないだろ。
Isn't it?
驚いた。世間知らずなお嬢だね、あんた。
What did she mean? Having said that, it was definitely not something that would pass for an ordinary home. While we were there, kimono-clad women were frequently entering and then leaving. What is more, they were all dressed like geisha. What is this place? Anxiety slowly crept up from beneath my feet. She beckoned me to follow her.
なにビクビクしてるのさ。ほら、
Yes. Yes, Mom. I didn't have an option but to trust her and follow her. I mean, I didn't have anywhere else to go.
はい、 ここが私の部屋。豪勢な部屋じゃなくて悪いけど我慢しておくれよ。
I was shown to a carefully tidied six-mat Japanese room. Apparently she slept here. Good enough. That was fine, but... Excuse me, but...
何？
On the way to this room, I saw several people who looked like geishas. I had been wondering about this and asked hesitantly. There were several similar rooms in this building, and it seemed like a lot of women lived here. The glossy appearance and faint, sweet smell of white powder further put my mind in a whirl. So, what is this place at the end of the day?
まだわからないのかい？
She's a bit dense. She's a bit dense. We love her, but she's a bit dense.
ここはね、置屋だよ。
Okiya? I tilted my head at the sound of the unfamiliar words.
あんた本当にどこのお嬢なのさ。おかしな様相姿だし、ただものじゃなさそうだけどね。
She sat down on the tatami mat and leaned forward, peering questioningly into my face. Wow, she's so close. Even though we were of the same sex, I felt strangely excited by her vibrant beauty. The bi flag waved behind her proudly.
つまり置屋っていうのは、私みたいな芸者の待機場なんだ。日が暮れればここから料亭なんかに出向いてさ、お客の相手をするってわけ。
Escorts for customers? One casual word seemed to reverberate within my brain. What suddenly came to mind was a steamy scene from a period drama. A woman has her sash untied by a reprobate government official, and it is the one where they cry, "Ah, officer!" Could it be that a bead of sweat ran down my back. I've been sold. Fuck! I'm sorry. I'm going home. As I tried to rush out of the Japanese room, she grabbed my ankle. Ow!
ちょいとマッチ、どこに帰ろうっていうのさ。
I don't know, but I'm leaving anyway. She's a bit rough around the edges. I can't, deal with customers. I'm just not ready for that, and I don't even look good. Anyway, I just can't do it.
何わけのわかんないことを言ってるんだい。
Let go of me.
たく、いいから落ち着けって言ってんじゃねえかこの小娘が。
Damn, okay, mom. Just as I thought I heard a rough, angry voice, someone pulled my ankles, and before I realized it, was flat on my back on the tatami. She was standing over and holding my wrists, pushing me down hard. She was really strong.
あら、あたしたら。手荒なことしてすまなかったね。
Mom!
手を離してもらいたい？
Yes, please.
じゃあ、私の話を静かに聞くって約束できるなら話してあげる。話を聞いた上で帰りたいって言うなら、私も止めはしないからさ。
I nodded my head up and down. I was totally intimidated by the strangely possessed as a woman. Okay, girl. Women can be strong.
静かにできるじゃないか。
Yes, Mom.
あんた何か勘違いしてるみたいだからはっきり言っておくけどさ。
She raised herself up and released my wrist.
芸者。
Yes! Go off. Spill your speak your truth. That's the word. That's the saying. I don't know how to speak. I slowly sat up. When I looked at how serious she was, I panicked, but gradually regained my composure.
ま、あんたは世間知らずのお嬢みたいだから、芸者と遊女がごっちゃになるのも無理はないと思うけどね。
Yeah, she's stupid. Forgive her. Ugh. I was fixed with a wide-eyed stare.
私も褒められたような人間じゃないけど、 会ったばかりの子を捕まえて身売りさせるほど腐っちゃいないよ。
I'm sorry. I felt ashamed at the way that I made such a fuss and lowered my head.
そんなに恐縮しなくてもいいよ。連れてくる前にちゃんと説明しなかった私も悪かったんだからさ。
No, not at all. Aw, thank you, Tailgater. No, not at all, really. It was nice of you to help me out. I could have just been left for dead in that place. After what I went through at the Rokumeikan, being separated from Charlie and even forgetting where I lived, engulfed by the bewitching atmosphere of the city, I felt I had lost the ability to make calm decisions. When I thought about what might await me, I was filled with anxiety, but I should at least be thankful that someone was taking care of me. Thank you very much.
変な子だね。今度は嫌に素直じゃないか。とにかく布団を借りてきてあげるから今夜はもう寝ないよ。詳しい話は明日聞かせておくれ。
Yes. Yes, Mom. When I nodded, she smiled gently and left the room. Maybe it was because I was alone and no longer nervous that I suddenly felt all the strength leave my body. Ugh. Then I faintly hear a woman's laughter and the sound of a shamisen. Outside the window was the light of red lanterns. Although they were definitely in Japan, something was clearly different. This is not the world I know. So what is the world I know? The only thing I am certain about right now is my name. I'm not sure of anything anymore. Slowly, I collapsed on the tatami mat. I didn't want to think about anything else. I just wanted to sleep deeply.
Neえ、あんた。
セーブするの？ここにセーブするのかな？セーブが完了したようだね。
We're gonna end it here, cause I'm hungry. Switching over. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had fun playing. I hope you guys did as well. Next stream will be tomorrow, I believe. We'll be playing Baldur's Gate. Hopefully the game actually cooperates with me. But for now, I'll see you guys later. Bye!